Okay, folks, let's get back into it. Thanks. We're actually running to time. It's fantastic. Now, I've got to explain that when we have our breaks, it's because we've also got people that are zooming in as well. So So when we go to a break, you folks that are zooming in, you go and have your little cup of tea and sandwich with jam on it and that sort of thing, and then we'll come back. Yeah. In the meantime, you've got some sandwiches and some fruit on your tables. Please knock that off. And then at the back, we've also got some hot dishes. So please make yourself welcome to that, Mai as well. And then wow. So this next shop we got here, it's an institute that offers elite training and experience for aspiring Indigenous chefs who will be trained and mentored by Australia's top chefs at host restaurants from Rock Pool Bar and Grill, Bistro, Woolamai, Catalina, Aria, the European, Mavida, the Dolphin Hotel, Iceberg's Dining Room and Bar, and more in Sydney and Melbourne. The Trainee Chef program aims to produce a group of chefs trained in Australia's top restaurants who will be role models and leaders for up-and-coming Indigenous trainees. From the CEO of the National Indigenous Culinary Institute, Nathan Lovett. The following video has been created as part of NICI's 2020 NAIDOC Week Cultural Cooking Experience as a demonstration video. Our chefs, Luke and Sam Burke, creators of this menu item, will take our participants for the event step by step through the process of preparing this kangaroo and beetroot dish so they can create it themselves in their own homes. The kangaroo and beetroot menu item was recently featured in October 2020 issues of the Gourmet Traveller magazine, with another of their creations displayed on the cover page. This has been designed as a cook-along event, with the produce having been prepped and delivered by our team of chefs in advance of the event day. Our corporate partners for the event is Hot Plus, NRMA, Investor Property Group and Pinterest. We're holding this event right now, which is why I cannot be with you via link, but I hope you can enjoy the video and you'd like to recreate the experience for your own companies. Please enjoy.
Hi guys, Sam from Rosetta, Sydney, and Luke from Rockpool Bar and Grill, and today we're going to show you how to make your produce box, the kangaroo and beetroot. So with the beetroots, we've got our 2 large, our 3 small, and our 3 golden beets, which we said before. So we're going to start with our big beetroots, so we're going to wash them. Just trying to get all that dirt off, make it nice and clean. You can do this in your sink at home. You can use a scourer if you want to remove any of the harsh dirt that's in it. And then we'll continue with our baby ones, same process, just removing all that dirt. And then finally we'll finish with our golden beets. So now we have all clean beetroots. We'll get rid of that water. And then we'll start with our big beetroots first. We'll prep them. So just top and tail. Just cut the top off. And then just a little bit of the tail. Do the same for the other beetroot. So both like this now. And then we're going to cut up a little bit smaller so it cooks a little bit faster. So I've cut it just in half, and then I'll go half again. So I'll end up with 4 pieces. And then after that, we're just going to cut it in half again. So smaller better, cook faster. Just take your time when cutting. Beetroot's a little bit hard. We'll get them in our pot, ready to go. We'll do the same process for the other beetroot as well. So in half. And then half again, and then one more in half. So we'll look like that. And then next we'll start with our baby beetroots. Just top and tail these ones. We're not going to have to cut them up, so we're just going to look like that. So do those to all 3 of them. So the next step for the beetroots, I'm going to make the poached knicker. So first we're just going to cover the beetroots with water, just till it covers them. And then we're going to get a spice mix, which is in your box. So you got 2 bay leaves, 2 garlic cloves, and some peppercorns. So we're just going to put that straight in. Put a touch of salt, which will be in your packet, so a little bit of pink salt. Just put a little pinch of that in. That's it. And then that's ready for the stove. We're going to start on our golden beets. We're going to prep them. So first we're going to top and tail. So with this step, we just want to go nice and slow, and the aim for this is to try and get it as thin as possible because we're going to be frying them. So if you have a mandolin or something like that at home, you can use, which is easy for you, or a slicer of some sort that's used at home, you can do that. But today I'm going to use the chef knife. So just take our time and make it super thin and nice and slow, and watch your fingers. All right, so now we have our beetroot liquor, our golden beets, they're all prepped up. And next we're gonna start with our spices for the kangaroo. We're gonna get mortar and pestle. We're gonna get our mountain pepper corns. We're gonna get them and put them in the mortar and pestle. So we're gonna do that and get it ready for the kangaroo. Put that in. So once it's done with that, it's going to look like this. So nice and fine. I'm going to take that out, put it back into our container. So it should be very similar to the lemon myrtle. We'll get our kangaroo next. Our kangaroo is from Micro Meats, donated by Micro Meats. So we've got our packet. We're going to open that and portion that up. So once we've opened our kangaroo up, some of them might be a little bit different depending on the portion size that we were able to get. Depending on how many people we have, roughly 200 grams is good for a portion for one person. To start with, we're going to take off all the sinew and keep that. So if you look on the meat, you have these little sinew bits. We just want to remove that from the meat because that's going to make it a bit tough when it cooks. So you just want to get underneath it and just trim it out. Try and take as less meat as possible and just the sinew. So take your time when doing this and just remove that from the meat and put it in a bowl, which we're going to keep. So just get underneath it, slowly work your way through the meat. If you want to cut it smaller to make it easier for portioning and stuff, you can go ahead and do that. So yeah, just remove as much as possible. Less sinew it is, the better the meat will be in the end. And with the sinew, we're going to keep to make our jus, the sauce for the end of the dish. So I've taken all the sinew off the kangaroo, portion it up into the sizes suitable for you. For the moment, we have three nice pieces. So we're just going to put our spice mix on that. So we have our peppercorns, which we did previously. We have our lemon myrtle as well. We're going to put that on top of the kangaroo. So we'll just grab a bowl. We'll just put our kangaroo in the bowl. Just like that. And then we're going to slowly just pinch the lemon myrtle and put it over the top of the kangaroo and then move it around, and same procedure for the pepper berries. What we're trying to achieve is just to try and coat all of the kangaroo to make a nice crust when sealing it in the pan. So just flip that around, make sure we get all of it. With the pepper berries, you can probably use a little bit less. It's a bit intense, so we only need to use a little bit if we can. So just moving that around, cutting it nicely, make sure you're getting all the all the edges and surfaces of the kangaroo. It should look like that. And then we're just going to set that aside, ready for the pan. And then also we have the offcuts, which we kept to make the sauce for the kangaroo. So we'll keep them as well, ready to cook on the fry pan as well. So once our beetroots are ready, put them on the stove because they're going to take the longest to cook. So I'll just put them on the stove over here. Put it on a nice high heat, bring it to a boil. Once it's to the boil, then we'll turn it down and let it tick away to a medium heat. So we've got that on now, and we'll come and check that back later. So next up now is to get our spinach, which will be in one of the containers, and our warrigal greens. So we're going to start by washing them. Just make sure we don't have any bugs or dirt on it. So we're just going to put it in the water. You can do this in your sink at home. Just make sure it's all washed. Then we're just going to mix that through with the warrigal greens as well. So we'll set that aside, and then we'll start with our macadamias. So we're just going to get them ready by blitzing them up in a food processor. If you don't have a food processor, you can just use a knife. Just take your time, cut it up fine. But today we have a nice food processor handy, so we're just going to use that. So we'll just get our macadamias and put it in the food processor. So we have nuts. Try and keep them all the same consistency. And just with that, we're just going to fold through a little bit of flake salt, pink salt in your container, which we have. So just going to fold that through the macadamias. So just sprinkle a little bit and then just mix it around, nicely coated. And then we'll just leave that aside for later.
So now we're just going to check on our beetroots. We've had it on the stove. We just put it on before, and we're going to have a check, see how they are. So what you want with the beetroots, now we've got it to a boil. We're just going to turn it down a little bit, just to a nice simmer. And then also what you want to do is you want to grab one of the biggest beetroots in there, and you just want to check if it's nice and tender. If not, you can just leave it on for a little bit longer. So what I'm going to do is just going to pick up a beetroot. Just got a little knife here, and I'm just slowly going to pierce it in. If it goes all the way through, they're ready, but this one's still a bit firm, so we're just going to leave it a bit longer. So next step we want to do is we want to get a medium-sized pan on. Same thing you have at home. We're just going to pop it on the heat, put it on high, and we're just going to get ready to sear off that kangaroo trim that we had before. That's the kangaroo trim that we had before, just with the sinew. So we're just going to seal that off and make our jus sauce for the kangaroo. Get a dash of oil in there. We're just going to go in and just brown off that kangaroo sinew. So you're probably going to saute it off for about 2 minutes each side. Just get that nice and caramelized color on the kangaroo. So now you can see the kangaroo starting to color a little bit. There's a little bit of resin on the bottom of the kangaroo. That's not to worry about, because we'll deglaze that off, and that will be nice and caramelized for the sauce. So now that that's done, nice and caramelized, the next step you want to do is you want to get about 200 grams of that poaching liquor that we have here. And that's going to be the sauce to our jus. So what I'm going to do is just going to grab a little bit out. So if you've got a ladle at home, it just makes it easier in the kitchen. So we've got a kangaroo, and we're just going to take a bit of that poaching liquor and we're just going to add it in. And that's going to deglaze the pan and then also get all that flavor off the bottom. So after we added that poaching liquor, now we want to add one of our butter, our cultured butter we have there, and we're just going to drop it in and just melt that down into the sauce. Now that's done, you can see all the nice sauce there, all the jus. We can leave that on the back and we'll come back to that one. Okay, so now we're just gonna finally check our beetroots. They're pretty much come to the end, nice and soft. So what we wanna see with the beetroot is almost like a potato. So I'm just gonna put my knife in there and pretty much it's soft and it should pretty much fall off the knife. So now that's done, I'll just pop that over to the side and just take it off the heat. So next step we want to do is we want to get a large pan on the heat, nice and high, to get for our kangaroo. So a nice large pan, you can get a cast iron pan, whatever works best for you. Just pop it on the heat and we're just going to put it on high. Get it nice and hot, ready to seal our kangaroo off. You can get a bit of oil in the pan, so when we chuck in our kangaroo, it's ready to go. Nice little dash. So we've got our kangaroo that we had before. It's seasoned up. It's come to room temperature. Working with meat and kangaroo and also game meat, you also want to leave it out to room temperature. That way when you seal it off, it's ready to go. If you have it from pretty much a cool room or straight out of the fridge, it's never going to cook the same way. It's going to take longer as well. So we're going to get a kangaroo and we're going to pop it in the pan nice and hot. Always when you put something in the pan, try and put it away from you. If it splashes, the oil goes away, so it's safer. So just slowly put it in, drop it in like that. Nice sizzle, that's what you want to hear. So yeah, also with cooking kangaroo, and mainly you want to cook it nice and high and fast. You don't want to cook it anything over medium, otherwise the kangaroo becomes tough and not very nice to eat. So we always recommend cooking it medium rare to rare is always the best result. So what we're going to do, we're going to seal it on both sides for about 1 to 2 minutes, nice caramelization on the crust. Then we're going to let it rest, and then we're going to reheat it. So working with kangaroo, it's like a muscle. You always want to cook it, let it rest and relax, then heat it up, and then eat it. It's always best. So now that I'm going to flip it, you can see it's nice and caramelized on one side. You can see that brown, nice crust. So we're cooking the kangaroo. Also, if you have one slightly bigger portion, always just leave that longer. Little portions, half the time. So you can see this little one is a little portion. I'm just going to let that rest first. Take it out of the pan. Also, when you're resting it, try and leave it in a nice warm place next to the stove. That way it doesn't cool down completely and all the kangaroo doesn't go cold. Because you still want to keep it warm. You can also, a good trick, you can always pop the oven light on and you can just drop it in the oven, or you can have the oven on for a little bit at like 50 degrees, and then that way it stays nice and warm. So if you're doing all your other things, the kangaroo can still be resting. So we're just going to get a medium pot, fill it with some veg oil, and we're going to bring that up to 200 degrees. Is best for frying our golden beets. So if you've got a probe at home or a thermometer, is always best to use. That way I know what temperature we're working with. Pop that in there. So our oil, where we want to cook it at is 200 degrees. So now my oil's just come up to 200 degrees. I'm just going to turn it down a little bit, keep it at that consistency. We've got our beetroot chips that we've sliced up, and now we're just going to throw it in. So what you need is, if you've got a little shimmer, is always best, or you can use a slotted spoon. And we just got a little drying rack set up, just a bit of paper towel on a tray. So when we fry our chips, we can chuck it straight on there, pop it on there, and they can just dry out. So it catches all that oil and dries out. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to drop those chips in. If you've got a shimmer, you can always just put it in the basket and just slowly pop it in. So you want to do there, you want to fry them off. You want to see them go slightly golden, and then we're just going to take them out. Stir around a little bit. If they're catching, you just want to keep them moving. So you'll see they start to crispen up, they'll curl up a little bit, and you can see they're nearly done. We're just going to pop it on our drying rack. So once that's done, we'll turn our stove off, and then we're just going to pop a little bit of our pink salt that we had before, and we're just going to dust over that. So we're just going to get another medium pan. We'll get that nice and hot on the stove because we're just going to saute off our warrigal greens and spinach. So you just need a little bit of salt and pepper, our olive oil like before. We'll get that nice and hot, pop our oil in there, and we're just going to fry it off, and then just drop it in a little bowl on the side, just ready to catch. So you're just going to grab your oil, just going to do a dash of that in the pan where it's nice and hot. We've got our warrigal greens and our spinach mix that we're going to throw in there and saute off. So you can see it's just starting to smoke on the pan there, and we're just going to slowly pop our spinach in. Give it a little toss, grab our salt, sprinkle it in there. Go in with our pepper. Give that a little toss. Only takes about 30 seconds with this one. It's nice and quick and fast. You don't want to cook it too long, otherwise you lose all that water and the flavour out of the spinach and the warrigal greens. So it's just a quick saute. You can see that's starting to wilt down now, getting nice and brown. Nearly done. And we're just going to pop that up to the side. We'll pop that off to the side and we'll get ready to plate soon. So for our kangaroo, it's been resting over there. We're just going to get our large pan again. We're just going to pop it back on the heat. We're just going to put that dash of oil just to fry it off again, warm it up. And with this one, we're going to get it nice and hot again. We're just going to quickly seal off the kangaroo, and we're going to get ready to plate and slice it up. That's our kangaroo from before. It's nice and roasted, still warm. We're just going to give it a quick seal on the sides, and it'll be ready. So our pan's come up to temperature. It's nice and warm. We're just going to quickly seal off our kangaroo. So nice and fast, drop it in there, flip them over. You don't want to cook it too long, otherwise we're going to overcook the kangaroo, which we don't want to do. So you can turn the kangaroo as much as you want, flip it over. A nice little trick if you want is when you're trying to feel if the kangaroo is nearly there. You can put your fingers together like that. So your index and your thumb and that little muscle there, if you touch that, that's what similar you want to feel on the kangaroo. So it's nice and soft, and that's what you want to feel on the kangaroo. So that's done. I'm just going to pop that out and get ready to plate. So now we've got our beetroots. We're just going to give that to Samuel, and he's going to strain that off, and we're going to make our puree.
So we're just going to strain all the liquid off. Just make sure we don't get any of the impurities. We just got them soaked into the poaching liquid, so that's all we needed it for. And then we want to grab the big beetroots that we had. We're going to get them and put them into the blender. So just grab all the big beetroots and we're going to blend them up for our puree. So grab them, chuck them into food processor or blender, whichever is possible for you to use at home. So we'll grab that, and then Luke will grab, and then we also reserve our 3 round baby beets. We'll leave them for cutting later. Then we can get rid of the sauce in that. And then next we're going to put the butter and the vinegar, vanilla vinegar that we've given to you in the cups. I'm going to put them in the blender with the beetroots. I'm going to blitz that up into a nice puree. So we just put that in, put the lid on. I'm going to pulse that up. It's going to look like that when we're done. So we're going to take that out and put that into a bowl. So we'll get all that out into the bowl. And we'll just get rid of that. So our beetroot will look like that. We can just season it up with a little bit of salt and pepper. Give it a bit more seasoning. If you wish, you can put a bit of olive oil. It's up to you. Whatever your taste palette, you can just give that a little try. That's good. So that's done, ready for plating. Next, we're going to slice up our baby beets in nice round circles. So just straight down, nice thin circles. We're just going to slice those up, ready for plating. Take your time when cutting. You can cut in whatever shape you desire, but circles are good as the beetroot is circular. Just do that, and then we're going to place that in our bowl. And then next we're going to start with slicing the kangaroo. So Luke's going to bring that over. So that's done.
So now that that's done, we've got our kangaroo. It's roasted up. It's all crusted, ready to go. And then Samuel's going to slice that up for us, nice and thin, ready to plate.
So with the kangaroo, I'm going to slice it nice and thin, and we're going to slice against the grain. So just look at the piece of meat. If you look very closely, the grain's running this way. So we're going to slice this way. So what we're going to do is going to cut it in half here, and then we're going to slice it up to make it easier to plate. So the grain's running this way, we're going to slice against it. So just slice it in nice thin strips. If you want, let's use a bigger knife, make it easier. So we're just slicing it up nice and thin. Look at the nice cooking on it. So now we're going to assemble the plating. So we have all the garnishes here and also our ingredients. So we have our jus, crispy golden beets, macadamias, puree, sliced beetroots, warrigal greens and spinach, and also our kangaroo. So first off, we're going to start with our warrigal greens on the bottom. We'll do the puree. And once we've done that, we're going to put on our sliced beets. And then followed by kangaroo next. And then our macadamias, put a little bit of that on. And our crispy golden beets. And last, we put our jus. And then just, if you'd like, just a little bit of extra salt and pepper to finish the dish. And that's the final dish.
So now we've finished our beetroot and kangaroo dish. We've got Jill in here, jumped in, and she's going to give it a taste.
Thank you, Luke and Sam. Absolutely brilliant. The smell has been driving me batty, so this is going to be really good. I'm very excited. I also love the idea of kangaroo and beetroot together. I think it's something that's just uniquely Australian. And but I do want to ask you, because everyone's been cooking along with you, what is the hardest thing here? What is the one thing they'll stuff up?
The one thing that you really got to focus on is cooking that kangaroo, not over medium. You want it nice and medium rare to rare. That way it gets the best result in the dish.
Exactly. And if you keep it back and then rest it, that's how to do it, rather, because you can't undo.
No, you can't undo once you go on that far.
Too far.
Exactly. All right, may I?
Please.
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you. I get all the good bits. Now, I want some of that beautifully cooked kangaroo, and I want some beetroot with it, and I'll be picking up a bit of macadamia. I reckon you're getting close to what could be a national dish here. Don't you reckon?
Hopefully one day.
That kangaroo is beautiful. Why this works so well. I love how you've used the beetroot in different ways. It's sort of like a musical composition where you bring back the chorus, but you've got the sweet earthiness of the beetroot puree, but you've got the little crisp chips, and you've got that beautiful jus. And it all goes so well with the kangaroo. It really does, because the kangaroo is lean and clean, and the beetroot brings this beautiful sweetness. I'm just going to keep eating. Wow.
Yeah, with the beetroots, we just try to show techniques, I guess. And at home, you can see that when you're eating it as well, that you can have one ingredient in different ways to eat it.
I hope everyone really enjoys their beautiful meal. And I do love that it could only happen, this dish could only happen in Australia. I love that, especially this week. Well done. It's fantastic. You guys should, like, you know, open a restaurant.
There you go, folks. Absolutely, we've, I guess they're ran out of time. Boom, boom. Hey, I hear Tom Cruise has a new cooking show now. It's called A Few Good Menus. Got another one here, says, what music do they play in the kitchen? Earth, Wind and Fire. What do chefs watch on television? Game of Scones. All Men Must Dine. Stop it. I'd like to come back a little section here. I'd like to call on Jeff Hogg, please. Jeff. Jeff is Star Entertainment Group, and Peter Santos of Santos Didgeridoos, please. I'd like to present Jeff with a Warriors pack, so I'll call on Jeff. Thanks. And Peter Santos, Peter Santo has what we call I'll let you do the talking yourself, bro. That'll be the easiest. I'll hold this for you.
Hello everyone out there. I'm from Mackay and I've got a group of people who gives me a hand to make the artifacts here. There's a few of us in here. David's nephew gave us a hand, Les, with the didgeridoo and everything else in the warrior kit. This is one of the brilliant shields that we made. Up there, he's this man who painted from Mariba, Trevor Peckham. Yep, you know the colours there. Yes. I'll just grab the other stuff there. Sure. Pretty weighty.
You're starting a war, Jeff. We need about last night's state of origin.
This is some of the weapons of the warrior kit. The killer boomerang, or number 7. Be careful. This is the club for the snakes and the woomera for the spear.
Really?
Yeah. And the fire sticks made by Cal from Mossman. Yep.
Gary?
Yep. And the boomerang.
This is where the white man got the idea of the red and matched it.
Murray. Yeah, I'd like to thank Jeff for getting support, and thank you QTIC for inviting us down here. It'd be brilliant. Thank you.
So Peter will present all these incredible man-made products to Jeff. So I'll let you say something, Jeff. Thanks.
Yeah, well, firstly, I just got a chance to see these outside, and it's pretty special. And certainly on behalf of the Star, I do want to say, Peter, thank you very much. We certainly, the reason we get involved in supporting QTech and Rhonda and the team here is not about being able to get something so special as these options and gifts we've got today. But certainly, as talking to Peter, we have an opportunity to help and make a difference, and it's been something we've been very proud of with QTech. Certainly for us, when we look at somewhere like Queen's Wharf, we've talked about creating a retail option for which Indigenous artists can share their product with people around the globe, where they don't have to worry about having a retail shop or a cost. We'll deliver that. And as Peter said, having this ability to now showcase these products in our venues, showcasing the names of the artists behind them and the amazing work is what we're doing. So we see this as a real honour to be able to be given these gifts. We look forward to showcasing them in our properties and sharing a lot more about the Indigenous artists and working with Indigenous artists to be able to sell their products to internationals when they come in. So we appreciate the opportunities to hold this in the interim and look after them and help showcase Indigenous artists to the world. So thank you, and thank you again, Peter.
Thanks, Jeff. I've got a digital here, so I might as well blow it for you.